A cure for death. A shaman's quest. I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life. Bible. A cougar screams, a baby's cry.
The storms arrived early. Game became scarce. The people had to move before they were ready. They were traveling one night. The people always traveled at night. When a sudden bitter snowstorm blew in, visibility was lost. The winds tore at their flesh. The people began searching for shelter. By then, there had been many such storms and frantic searches for places to hide from the deadly winds. Food couldn't be found, neither game nor pickings from the ground. Most of the starving people knew they were looking for a warm place to die. Suddenly, the people heard someone shout over the shrieking wind. They could not see who it was or recognize the voice. The wind stopped, and a hunter said, "A cougar screams." Following his words came a baby's cry. The snow stopped falling. A moonbeam broke through the clouds and rested on a newborn in the arms of his dead mother. A cougar had taken the boy's father. The child was the tragic couple's firstborn. Among our people, every firstborn was given to the ruling chief on the day of its birth and was never seen again. When each chief was still in the prime of his life, he would choose a successor, wait for the next firstborn, and take it with him on a spirit journey. They would never return. It had been so from the beginnings of my people's memories, except on the night I was born. The shaman at that time, Bear Who Waits, held the infant, me, up before the people. "There is strangeness on this one," he pronounced. "He is a child of destiny. I will keep him with me." The ruling chief, Red Hawk, was angry. He'd been waiting for a firstborn so he could begin his spirit walk. "The child is mine," he shouted. "It is my right." Bear Who Waits turned to Red Hawk and stared at him in silence. The wind picked up again, and the chief broke the shaman's piercing stare. Bear Who Waits spat at the ground in disgust. The driving wind picked it up and threw it in Red Hawk's face, where it froze to his cheek. He screamed out his fury like an animal. A wolf seemed to pick up the chief's howl. The lead hunter shouted over the storm, "Food and shelter must be near." The wind and snow died out as the hunters left the people to find what the cougar and wolf were hunting. Red Hawk turned to Bear Who Waits and once again shouted, "It is my right." Bear Who Waits spoke with finality, "I am taking this one." Before Red Hawk could scream again, the shaman finished. "The signs are clear. His destiny cannot be denied. To stand in his way could doom us all." It was clear the shaman would destroy the chief if necessary. It seemed as if Red Hawk was going to say something, but a look around at the people made him stop. It was clear that if it came down to it, the people would stand with the shaman. He spoke through gritted teeth. "Do not cross me ever again, shaman, or you will die." I wake up from a dream to a nightmare. I am in the city of Tareth, a city under siege. I lost 2 friends last night. It seems we may all be lost. I am on the planet Zaral, the capital of the human race. All but Tareth is destroyed, and if something doesn't change soon, it will be too. We are surrounded by an army of slaves and mercs. We are outnumbered. Their blast cannons pound on the city's shields night and day. They are close to falling. Supplies are running low, and morale even lower. Last night, I met with the 3 other leaders of this war, Painter, May, and Zach Packer. "We have to do something now," Painter said. "The east shields need to be brought down for repairs for at least 2 hours. Those cannons must be stopped." We'd gone out against the cannons before, lightning strikes with a crew of about 20. We'd throw confusion into the slaves and silence the cannons long enough for them to bring up reinforcements. This time, we'd have to hold out longer. This time was different. When we were close to the cannons, Zach went ahead to scout out the situation. When he got back, we knew we were in trouble. Mercs, about 100 of them. There were only 20 of us. "Ideas?" Painter asked. "A lot of people milling around," Zach said. "Might not be too hard to throw some confusion into them." "What do you have in mind?" Painter asked. Zach took off his old Stetson, wiped his forehead with the back of his hand and said, They're gathered in pretty close to the cannons, a lot of open space around their perimeter. I figure if we spread out around, put our blasters on auto-fire, and keep on the move, we might fool them into thinking there are more of us than 20. They might think we got them surrounded. We might be able to thin them out some before they get wise to us. I like it, Painter said. May, Cougar? I'm in, May answered. She would follow Painter into death and back. I agreed with their plan, and we began to prepare. Our crew was picked for stealth. We made our way around the enemy perimeter undetected. We turned our blasters on and started moving. The mercs reacted quickly, but they didn't know where to concentrate their fire. We kept under cover as best we could. Their shots didn't score, but ours did. Their confusion didn't last long, though. They got under cover and kept up their own hail of fire. By the time their shots started finding targets, we'd taken out about 30 of them. Pull back, Painter ordered. When we were out of the line of fire, Painter said, "We need a new plan." "Pick one spot and hit them hard," I said. "They're less organized toward the south," May pointed out. "Zach, take your team to the east and keep them busy," Painter told him. "The rest of us will hit their south." We moved quietly through the darkness until we were in position. Then we waited for Zach's team. When their blasters opened up, we waited for the mercs to organize and return fire. I readied my axe and knife, Painter his sword and blaster, and May her 2 swords. Painter signaled, and we began to run. The surprise slowed them down, but they were seasoned fighters. Even with Zach's distraction, the odds were heavily against us, but our objective was met. The cannons stopped when the mercs ordered the slaves to join the fight. 3 slaves came at me at once. Their lack of combat experience brought them down quickly, but when they fell, 5 more came in. Their attack was unorganized, but I couldn't avoid all their hits before they died. I didn't have time to patch my wounds. 3 more were on me, and one of them was a merc. The slaves came in first and the merc behind them. I opened the skull of one slave with my axe and buried my knife in the throat of another, but I left myself open to the merc. His sword drove into my chest. I fell back, and he rammed into me. I hit the ground hard. The merc pulled his sword and swung for my head. I turned, and his blade opened up my shoulder. I tried to get up, but 2 more slaves had joined in and jumped on me. My knife stilled one of them, but the cut to my shoulder slowed down my axe. I pushed up to my knee and pulled my knife from the eye of the dead slave. While I was doing that, the merc's sword was arcing for my throat. I twisted left and took his blow in my side. I buried my knife in his knee. He dropped, and my axe laid his face open. The remaining slave jumped on me again, and I fell back. I rammed my knee into the slave's face, and his neck snapped. I passed out. When I awoke, the fighting had shifted away from me. I rose to a knee to see where I was needed. To the right of me, Painter and May were fighting off 4 mercs and 3 slaves. They were in trouble. 3 of the mercs were on Painter, and the rest were fighting May. I got up to run in, but I fell under my wounds. I got up in time to see May's sword fly up in the air. Painter saw it too, because he didn't see the merc's blade coming for the back of his neck. May fell under 3 slaves, and Painter's head fell to the ground. I heard May scream, "Saray!" And then her voice was silenced forever. I passed out. It was almost light when I woke up. The fighting was over. The cannons were beating on the city again. I shifted to a raven and flew back to Tereth. That morning I had a dream.